G'day guys, we're sitting with one of our valued team members, Carl MacDonald, all the way from Edinburgh in Scotland. He's been with us 12 months and how you going, Carl?
Nice to see you, Q.
Yeah, likewise, mate.
From over there to here.
Good? I thought it would be, prudent for us to introduce you finally, even though you've had your introduction along the way.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit of a background check on you and what you've done and where you're from, and I'd love people to know that.
Yeah, well, obviously, telling from the accent, I'm from Scotland, from Edinburgh, the capital of Scotland. But I guess to give you a sort of summary of my experiences since maybe university. Let's not go too far back.
Yeah, please don't, mate. You'll be here all day.
So going back to university, obviously studied in Edinburgh. Was actually in sports science. So
awesome.
A little bit different to what I'm doing now, of course. But I guess it set me off on a pathway further forward. So when I left university, I kind of wanted to go and explore the world and got a few.
And you've done a bit of travelling.
Yeah, I've done a little bit. Yeah.
Just a little bit.
This think led me to here.
What's your nickname?
Yeah, no, it's not my nickname. just the Instagram.
Oh, it's just your handle. Okay.
Yeah, just the handle.
So what is it, mate?
Worldwide.
Worldwide. So that's pretty epic. So tell us. Carry on. Sorry, mate.
No, all good. Obviously, when I left university, I was looking for opportunities. I didn't want to just travel and make it aimless.
Yep.
So basically, looked to teach English as a foreign language initially, and the most exciting job offer I got was China, and just thought,
interesting.
Why not? I've never met anyone that's been there. It's just a completely different world to what I was used to.
Is that where you were Fat Man Scoop?
Fat Man Scoop, met Fat Man Scoop.
Yeah.
Sang a bit of that. Engine number 9 with Fat Man Scoop. That was a good experience. Lots of good experiences actually in China. A really incredible place, and taught lots of amazing children. And they've got maybe a bit of a Scottish twang there, but
Scottish English.
Yeah, Scottish English.
Did you teach them about haggis?
No, actually, I didn't. But I taught them about kilts.
Oh, okay.
So they knew that Kyle wore a skirt, and I took one in one day to show them, and they thought it was hilarious. So
awesome.
It was pretty good. But not too much about my culture. Just sort of actually more soaking up their culture and learning about time there. And while I was there, played a lot of rugby. I was the president of the Chengdu Pandas as well for a period.
Oh, wow.
Which was pretty good, and just kind of took us travelling around China. Played a lot in Kunming, Xiamen. Where else did we go? Chongqing is our nearest and biggest rivals. Travelled all over China playing rugby with them. So that was fantastic.
Did you get your shorts dirty or not, mate? Because I know that your positions, historically they come off clean and the rest of the boys are dirty. So
I never was dirty.
Okay, there you go. So so just to clarify, he's a winger. So
winger, fullback.
It
wasn't. I don't really get myself too dirty, mate. Trying to avoid the contact as much as possible. So, did that, and then was looking for a next adventure. Basically, it was a very comfortable lifestyle I had there, and it just felt like it maybe wasn't going to challenge me too much. So, I kind of moved away from China and took up a job working with an Olympic pathway ski team. So that was my passion. I love skiing. That's how I met a lot of my friends in university, was through the ski society. And I was very fortunate to do that when I was a kid. So came back to that love and that passion, worked with the Olympic pathway team, and basically travelled all around Europe doing that for 3 years, or 3 long winter seasons, 6 months roughly. Up until the COVID season, had that pretty hectic. COVID season had a hectic time when we found out everything was locking down. We had to get all these athletes from all over the world back, and had to facilitate all of that.
So when the world went crazy.
When the world went crazy, and we had athletes from Russia, Ukraine, we had athletes from Switzerland, France, the UK, all over the world pretty much training with us, and we had to figure out how to get them back within 3 days. So
that would have been interesting.
It was interesting, stressful, and did a crazy last minute dash before the borders shut to get me to Munich airport and back in time for the borders closing. So it was mad, and our Russian kid got the last flight out of Europe to back home in Moscow. So it was wild times, but meant that next following season, lots of we had our athlete bubble, and German Athletenblase. Okay. So we had that athlete bubble. It meant that I guess I couldn't really socialise out with the team, and they're all teenagers. So for me, as at that time, mid-20s, it wasn't ideal for my work-life balance. So basically wanted to move away from that and move back to Scotland, back to Edinburgh, and just sort of looked for my new career. And it was there that a friend of a friend, Andrew Deans, who is the managing or the property director at Deans Solicitors and Estate Agents, he basically offered
in Scotland,
in Edinburgh. Yeah, yep. He basically said to me, "Look, I'd love you to come on board, and we'll sort of train you up as a property valuer and show you the ropes."
Property valuer. So as most of our clients would know, or just even the general public, being a property valuer, it's probably one of the most important parts of any transaction that we go through. It's one of the main parts of finance, and whether or not the property is worth it, and it is someone's opinion. Generally, they're working for the bank, so there's a bit of a grey area there sometimes, but ultimately, it works in favours for clients too. So a lot of our clients that see that uplift in their journey. They purchased it at $750. Now it's worth $840. Well, we get that $840 from the valuations, all the comparable sales, all that sort of stuff. So you were doing that sort of stuff in Scotland.
Yeah, similar too. So we worked alongside. So we'd have your sort of market appraisal side of things, valuations, and then you would have your real official, what we call a home report in Scotland, which is done by the surveyors. So we would work in conjunction with surveyors. Yep. We would be the first step and kind of like act as their eyes, I guess. For example, someone phones up Dean's Solicitors back home and they say, "Look, thinking about selling my house, would someone be able to come around and do a valuation?" So we go out, have a look around the house, have a chat with them, get to know them. Of course, we're wanting them to come on board with us as well. So it's a little bit of building that relationship and the rapport with the potential client. But it's also for me to look at the condition of the house, to go away and
to determine what it's worth.
Yeah, and to determine what it's worth. Yeah, so we're looking at the condition of the house. We're looking at where the house is based in Edinburgh.
Location.
Location's a huge part of it. There's certain areas that are more sought after than others.
Yep.
The type of house, obviously.
House, townhouse, unit. Well, do you have anything different in Scotland?
Yeah, I was going to say, so like you guys call them units out here, we just call them flats.
Flats, okay.
Yeah, flats.
There you go.
And you've got different
hopefully
types.
It's not flat lining. Hopefully it's going up, right?
It's usually going up in Edinburgh
good.
as well. It's usually going up in Edinburgh. It's a pretty steady market, pretty
good.
Strong market. And there's different styles. Obviously, compared to here, you've got a lot of newer stuff. Back home, we have a lot of big sandstone buildings. They're quite beautiful.
So that's just the cultural side, really.
Yeah, exactly. But people really value that. So a lot of people don't like maybe the newer build side of things, because in Edinburgh there are so many of these amazing sandstone buildings. So a lot of people like that.
So just on that, are they insulated or are they freezing cold, mate?
That's the thing. So with these buildings, a lot of them are B listed or potentially A listed, which is their
B and A listed.
Yeah, so you can have like A, B, I think C as well. But it's basically the listing of the building means that there's certain alterations that you can and you can't do to these buildings. Yep. And if you do want to do the alterations, there are certain stipulations for those.
Okay.
So, for example, in our tenement buildings, which are often sandstone, we call tenements, it's maybe like 3 or 4 stories high, sandstone buildings, they have sash and case windows, which are old school single glazing sash and case windows, which means they can lift up like this, but if you take them off their hinges, they can swing out.
Oh, wow.
And open the full thing. But when you're in a B-list class building, that's a bit of a mouthful, but it basically means that you cannot put certain windows into those buildings. So it can't just be like PVC windows that go back in. It would need to be meeting certain stipulations. So that means that sometimes these buildings don't have double glazing, and the walls are obviously sandstone and solid, and therefore the insulation may not be that good in those buildings. So there are pros and cons to new and the old.
Yeah, so it'd be a bit intriguing for you, obviously being a property valuer over in Scotland, and obviously seeing multiple different property types and different versions, sandstone, flats, all those sort of things. But ultimately now you've, being in Australia, working in the property market, for 12 months and obviously seeing what our clients buy and, existing, new, whatever it may be for that client's specific situation. It must be fairly interesting for you to make that transition from being the property valuer and dealing with all of that to now going.
Yeah, definitely. It's a completely different style of properties here as well. even
what stood out to you the most? What would be your takeaway?
I guess I think for me it was first of all that there were a lot of timber frame, which is not something we have so often. Timber frames.
Okay,
yeah.
So what frame would you have? Steel or?
Yeah, probably more often we'd have a sort of
or is
steel
it just
framework.
more like bricks and mortar?
Well, you'd have that as well, but I think more likely it'd be the bricks and mortar or the sort of steel framework. So yeah, that was kind of the biggest thing when we were looking at some of these buildings, or when I was going out first to round to the houses that we were building for clients. That was my first interesting. So it's a different style of building that they have here. I guess as well, just with the abundance of land that you can have in Australia, what really interested me was just the fact that everyone really wants to live so close to the sea, whereas we're very limited in land, but people quite like the idea of living in the country a bit more back home, I guess. I feel like it's a different...
But it's interesting you bring that up, because when I think of Scotland, I think of like rolling hills, green paddocks, because it rains so much. And,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's how I envision what Scotland would be like.
But there's so much unusable land in Scotland as well, like here.
Yeah, but then you also think of the climate, right? So, we live in the Gold Coast, arguably the best city in Australia. Like I can't see myself moving from the Gold Coast just because we got amazing weather.
Yeah.
The lifestyle, having the beach and the hinterland, you get the mix of both. Whereas for you can have rain, for 10 days straight. And, we've actually got a photo of you leaving the office the other day because it was a rare occasion. It's actually pouring down, and you and your Bunnings poncho and riding your bike, mate. And you felt at home.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Weather for the ducks, and you're like, no, this is normal.
It's fine. At least the rain's warm here. That's the thing that I don't mind. And with Scotland, the other thing is, on the east coast at least, it doesn't rain as much as the west coast. So you're on the Atlantic coast over there.
Okay,
it's just very windy. And so the rain is sideways, not straight down.
Okay. So it's sort of like Wellington. Have when
I've never been, but yeah.
So that wind just blows people over. So it's sort of the same thing. It just comes in an angle. It actually feels like you're being shot by something because it stings.
It stings. Yeah. It stings,
no, that makes sense.
So that's kind of more what it is. And I guess in Scotland, it's. Yeah, you have got the rolling hills. You've got a limited amount of land that you can build on because there are national parks, etc. as well. So I think that's similar to here, where we're sort of looking to purchase for a lot of our clients in Southeast Queensland, is that limited land sort of drives the prices up. And we've got 100%. A small population as well. Scotland's only 5.5, maybe 5 million people.
Oh, wow.
So there looks like there's an abundance of land, but there's only so much you can actually build on. And Edinburgh's constrained similarly to the Gold Coast because we've got the mountains in the back, the Pentland Hills, and you've also got the ocean, it's the sea, it's the North Sea, it's the Firth of Forth, we call it. It's really the mouth of a river, but that means that we are constrained. So Edinburgh house prices also, similarly to Gold Coast, to Brisbane, they rise in the same way.
So essentially landlocked is how we talk about it, is finding, for our clients, is obviously finding opportunities where there's not continuous land,
Exactly.
as far as the eye can see. We want to be landlocked. We want to be in a position where, there's limited supply, and ultimately, you're getting in at the right time, and so those clients can have growth. And it's sort of the same thing as what you're talking about.
100%.
It's one of our key, things we look at is, what is the land supply? And that's why we don't go to certain areas or states. Some states have endless land, and so it's part of one of our checks. So no, that's good. That's very interesting. So just talking about that, getting a bit of understanding as a property valuer, you've obviously got quite a lot of experience in that side of things. Just give us a bit of a brief rundown on your role here and sort of like what a day-to-day looks like for you at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess, I've been here for 12 months or so.
And so how did you hear about Propel?
Well, so when I was coming over, basically my cousins and my auntie and uncle, my auntie and uncle settled here in Australia, over in Perth, Western Australia, and my cousin Rebecca, she actually went to school with Michael.
No ways.
And it was so one of those things where the reason why I came over to Australia was because my partner, she's a doctor, Esther, she's a doctor, and basically the NHS, the National Health Service back home, she was just finding it it's just a bit much. They're not getting the support they needed, and it was full on. And she just wanted to try somewhere new. She never lived really, as an adult, never lived in another country, and she fancied trying Australia. And I just said, right, well, let's give it a go. And basically, when I was moving over here, my auntie and uncle and my cousins were thinking, who do we know on the Gold Coast that we might have some connection, that maybe there's some opportunity for Kyle there. And weirdly, the only person that they could think of was Rebecca's old classmate, Michael. And Michael worked in property, and obviously I worked in property back home, and they sort of put us in connection, and we just exchanged a couple of emails and said, look, when we arrive, we'll catch up. We're not saying there's any opportunities there. We're just saying, let's catch up. At least it's someone that you have a connection to on the Gold Coast. Yeah. And we met up and we had a good chat, and Michael just asked me what I was kind of looking to do, and I was fairly open to anything. I would like to stay in the property market, as that's where my career had been built. But
and your experience.
And my experience, but I didn't
know how you were going to execute it yet.
Exactly. I didn't know if it would be in the real estate.
The biggest problem with a lot of people is that don't know how to execute. you execute it, which is great.
Yeah, so I didn't know whether it'd be and actually back home there's not really much of this buyer's agent stuff. So it was kind of, for me, a new avenue and a lot to learn. So I came in, and Michael saw some potential, obviously, and here I am, sort of 12 months later.
I'm glad he did do that, mate. I'm very happy about that, because you're a valued asset to our team, and you've grown so much into your role, and so there's big things on the horizon for you, Kyle. Yeah. So that's epic. So day to day, bit of dog and bones.
On the phones a lot. I mean, it's been a lot of learning first and foremost. So it's been a lot of listening and learning under yourself and Michael, and even Jaden and Jack as well, who have been in the game here a little bit longer than me. Yeah. It's learning sort of what they do, but a lot of the time, day to day for me, it's come in first thing in the morning, it's checking your emails, checking what the
Make a coffee.
Yeah, definitely need to do that. Otherwise I don't wake up, make a mistake on the phone or something. But it's really just a case for me to then, for me personally, I just like to get into it. So I kind of come in, I sit down for a little while, have a bit of a yap, and get into it.
One of our actual key requirements for any employee is they've got to be able to yap. So no, we obviously, as you can tell, we love yapping.
Yeah. If you can't yap, you need to go home out of this office. But we obviously then, basically it's a case for me, I come in, I look at potentially new clients that have put in an interest in our services.
So inbound leads.
Leads, and there's some organic leads, of course, as well, that just phone
existing clients, referrals.
Yeah, referrals. There's lots of different ways that people come to us, and a lot of our clients are obviously referrals and repeat business.
Well, it actually makes up 65% of our business is actually our repeat business through clients and referrals, which is a massive part. Obviously, as any normal business, you've got to go out and you've got to do, new lead generation to keep the business growing, and that's just a normal part of any business. But ultimately, I think one of the best things, and it speaks to the culture and the way we look after our clients' relationship, is that referral and existing business. And so you've been able to witness that firsthand in your 12 months being here, and ultimately you deal with, and as I touched on, you deal with that first lead, that new lead. Kyle always deals with them, first up, along with AC, and ultimately, the first impression they get is of you, and so if you don't believe in what we do and how we do it and how we look after our clients, essentially we never get to talk to them. So integral part of it. So you get on dog and bones, you start talking to the new lead.
All I'm really there to do is just to tell them a bit about what we do, because they're curious, they want to know what we do. Maybe they've already researched us, and that's fantastic if they have, because they've gone out there, they know what they're looking for, they've found us, we match up with their philosophies and what they're looking for. And all I can do is reaffirm what they've already seen. What we put out is very genuine and honest. Yeah. And so I just reaffirm everything.
Authenticity is one of our main things that we work with through.
Well, people can tell if you're not authentic.
Yeah, we're very authentic. We try and be ourselves as much as we can. And, our clients are valued, and whether it's the first time talking to you as a new inquiry to, a client that's bought 5 or 6 properties, we look at each client very valued, and we respect them and their situation, and everyone's situation is different. So, we got to be a chameleon to each phone call and to each meeting, because we've got to understand that, people are different, situations are different, and that's why they're coming to us essentially. And
exactly. And look, I'm going to learn a little bit about your situation on that initial call.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to tell you about our sort of process and what we do. And look, if those two things marry up and you're able to obviously come forward and invest, and you might not be quite there yet, but for us, it doesn't matter because we're looking at a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
So it might be that you're not quite there, to execute on a purchase right away, but maybe it's 6 to 12 months away. That's fine. We'll want to have that conversation with you and try and help you get yourself into a good position to do that. So, yeah, I guess for us, it's that initial call is massive because we want to show you that we can do what you're looking for, basically, and then from there, it's a case of passing them potentially over to yourself or Jack to do what we call a discovery video call or in-person meeting. We love to meet clients in person when the opportunity arises. So we can do it one of those two ways. And basically, it'll be myself, you, Jack, Jaden, AC on that discovery call. Just to give people an opportunity to come back. Maybe they've got a partner that wasn't there on that first call. Maybe they've had to think of some more questions, which is hugely important at that part of the process. They come back, ask us as many questions as they need to feel comfortable with us and figure out if we're the group they want to work with. And then from there onwards, it's a case of us obviously moving them through the process and building the relationship and helping them as best we can.
All right, so I'm going to fire some quick questions to you now, just otherwise we'll be yapping here all day and the media team will be a bit annoyed with us. No, just kidding. All right, so quick fire questions. Interests out of work?
Well, here I love golf. I love my football. That's real football.
Soccer, okay.
Soccer,
yes.
Football, back home. So yeah, love that.
Who's your team?
Celtic.
Yeah, and you still get up really early to watch them, which I admire.
I will.
I do the same for the Springboks. They're my rugby team.
They're probably the only team like that. Because I like other teams. Of course, you kind of grow affiliations with other teams based in other leagues, not in the Scottish League. The Scottish League stays Celtic. But I find that no matter what, I'll be up to watch them. They're a huge part of it. My dad's a massive supporter of Celtic, so therefore passed down, and it means a lot. And when they're playing, I'll be messaging my dad, and it's keeping that bond as well. So
I love it. Something that the team doesn't know about you?
I think I'm a pretty open book. I genuinely don't think there's
You're
much.
open book. I'll give you that. And actually, probably, the team knows, but have you been in an advert or before? just wondering, asking for a friend.
Okay, during my time in China, I was in a couple of TV adverts, or maybe TV's a bit too big of a word. It was just some adverts for some companies. I was in an advert for like a tech company that were sort of innovating some different technology.
Interesting. We should post it actually.
No way. And then it was in an advert with an oil drill company as well. So he's
a property valuer, oil mogul. What else is he?
Well, that was actually, I thought it was quite funny because at the time I was only 25 and they suited me up and they made me all
definitely posting this.
Did the makeup and stuff, but my role was the boss of the oil drill company, and I just thought
we have to post that.
I was only like 25. I feel like it was a bit of a strange role to give me in that advert, but there you go.
No, that's epic. So that's epic about the adverts and doing that in China. That's very unique, mate. There's not many people that oil mogul and all that at 25.
My friends before I went to China as well, and I know it's based off of Japan, but my friends were sending me, the Ichiban for men that Joey Tribbiani did.
I love it.
I know it's not the same country, but at the same time, they were all sending me like, that's going to be you when you get over there. And
that's so good.
Turned out it was.
That's so good, mate. Well done. Okay, so quick fire professional goals over the next couple of years, mate. What are you thinking?
I guess for me right now, it's just a case of learning more, observing and putting into practice what I've learned. So it's really a case of me going from potentially taking like initial stages of this process, the initial calls, the discovery calls, and obviously like a little bit of involvement with the other stuff. It's then going into now, right, how do we go about, searching for these properties, working alongside that research team that we've got to figure out, does this property stack up for our clients, and going out there and executing and making sure that we're getting good quality products for our clients, and nurturing that relationship with our clients ongoing as well. So it's learning that whole side of things, I think.
Yeah, and that's where we're going. Ultimately, you'll still be working, with Michael and myself, and any client that might meet you along the way. Doesn't mean that Michael and I aren't involved. We essentially, one of our biggest thing at Propel is obviously, giving back to our staff and making sure that we've got, number one is our culture, and we're very protective over our culture. But the second thing for Michael and I is obviously imparting our knowledge onto, yourself, Jack, Jaden, AC, Lauren. Ultimately we want to see you all grow and effectively the business grows. But it all comes back to Michael and I still being here and still being involved in every single deal. And so, it allows you to get personal development, but at the same time, it allows us to obviously free up a bit of time for Michael and I to focus more on those getting those opportunities for our clients.
Because everything's, at the end of the day, everything comes back to yourself and Michael and ticking that off for us. But for us now, or for me and Jack and Lauren and AC and Jaden, it's a case of us going, right, how does this look? Right, this is what we're thinking for this client. And Michael, what do you think about this so far? And obviously
part of the strategy.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be great because and one thing working with you guys is it's really constructive and really easy for you to tell us stuff because that's just the way it is.
Open book.
Yeah, we're open books. So it's good like that I can come and say, look, I'm thinking this, and you might be like, nah, it's a load of nonsense.
Google's good for a lot of things, but it doesn't teach you life experiences and how to look at things, and
we wouldn't get by without the contacts that you and Michael have made over these years. They're still very much going to be a huge part of our process, and myself, I've been in Australia a year. I'm not going to have those contacts, but luckily for me, I've got you and I've got Michael who can bring me those contacts and guide me along that way. And obviously I feel like I've got the ability to execute on everything else. It's just a case of having that experience behind me to say, you've got that. That's right.
No, I love it. So how do you see our team making an impact in this industry? Obviously, you've been here for 12 months. You've seen what we do. How do you do it? How do you think we're making an impact?
Yeah, well, I think the most important thing for us has always been that we're very client orientated and that we take that personalized approach. So I think from my experience in the industry so far is that and I can't speak too badly of everyone, or not every investment company is the same, but I know there are people out there that potentially are just trying to get a paycheck for themselves.
Cheeseburgers. Maybe
don't really care too much about what happens to that client. It's a case of, right, there you go, off you go, bye, and then it's the back of the mind.
Well, like we touched on earlier, not everyone's the same situation, not everyone earns the same money, not everyone's got the same savings or equity position.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so much that we talk about with our clients, and it's obviously acquiring good debt, and that's right to their specific situation, but we also talk and try and educate our clients through debt reduction, cash flows, how to hold the property. And ultimately, the biggest killer in this industry for any investor is generally cash flow. We generally sell properties because, there's a reason why we're selling. Something's happened out there, like, oh my gosh, I've got to go get money as fast as possible, or interest rate rises, or they lose their job, and automatically people go, oh, I should sell.
Yeah.
Whereas a company like ourselves and how we make an impact is, our clients work with us long term. So if there's an issue like that, we work with them to find and figure out a solution.
They come to us and ask us, well, what do you think I should do in this scenario? And we can still help them.
We're not transactional.
Yeah, exactly. Our relationship's not done after the purchase. Our relationship is ongoing. So we're there to help you. You buy a property tomorrow and 2 years down the line you've not purchased any more properties. So that's fine, but we're still working with you on that property you've got.
Always available.
Want to make sure that property is doing the right things for you.
Very true.
And if there comes a situation where an issue arises, you can send us a message, you can chat to us, and we'll help you ongoing. So I think it's the care, I guess, that separates us from other people, and that comes with us being a smaller company. It comes with us, not taking on 100 clients a month. It comes with us being able to know each individual client quite well and what they like and what they don't like, and sort of help them execute and create that long-term plan.
Yep. All right, so last questions, mate, 'cause we probably should wrap it up.
Yeah.
Any advice for anyone that potentially may join our team in the near future? Obviously from your experience, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. Probably it's just a case of be yourself. I think, again, back to authenticity, right? People can tell, like, even on the phone. And I was listening to an audiobook the other day, and they said when you smile on the phone, people still can hear the tone of the smile on the phone.
Yeah, very important.
So I think it's be yourself, be authentic, and you'll create your own style. So if you come on board, don't just be like, oh, I'm going to be like Kyle or I'm going to be like Q. Q and Michael are so different, but they both work really well. Me and Q are very different,
Michael
but they both work very well.
Really different.
Yeah.
But it's a bit of a yin and a yang, right? So, if Michael and I were the same, it'd be off in the same direction, whereas Michael and I go off different directions, but we always come back. So, it's a lot of people, that's the biggest thing I say. Come and be confident, bring your energy, and be authentic. And if you can do that in our industry, you'll be successful. At the same token, and our clients get the reward of dealing with somebody like that. So it's very, very important.
Yeah.
Now, epic, Carl. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. You've got the two strongest accents in the business today, and ultimately, Carl's is probably a lot nicer than mine is. But
no, not at all.
No, mate. Well, thank you, Carl.
Thank you very much
for having me, mate.
No, it's great.